Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Rufus Deuchler, and I am on the Creative Cloud Evangelism team. And today, what I want to talk to you about, if we can go to my screen, is a little bit about adapting to change and mutations that I'm seeing around the world as I travel and meet creatives all over this planet. And one thing that we're seeing, of course, is that there are a whole bunch of mutations. And what do I mean by that? Mutations in the way we work, mutations in the way we create. And I just want to do a little flashback to maybe 10, 15 years ago, when the only way to share files was this. You remember? How many of those have you lost? I've lost dozens of those, like giving files to customers or coworkers, and that was the only way to actually have my work travel, my work being shared with customers or coworkers. Who doesn't know about these things? Who has never seen one of those? The young ones, yeah? Okay, there's a few here. All right. This was the only way that I had access to fonts. This is what I would order, and this is what I would get. I would get the fonts directly from a foundry or from Adobe directly with their font collection. And this then I had to install into my computer. And all of this has also changed. The only way that I could communicate with my customers was via email, and it was a back and forth of emails, of sending, so what did you think of it? Oh, I thought maybe blue would be better. Okay, here's the blue version, what do you think? You know, it was like a ping-pong game of these type of messages. And this needs to change. Also, and this is a map of Florence. That's where I live. That's where I've been living for the past 20 years. Florence, this is where I grew up as a creative. That's where I chose to live when I was, back in '92. I chose to move to Florence to do classical painting. And then I went back to graphic design rather rapidly to earn some money because painting, you know, it's hard. So basically, this was my universe. The walls of Florence were my universe. That's where my customers were. That's where people who knew me for my talent, my work, would actually know that I exist. Okay, it was very hard for me to actually have exposure out of those walls. And what I wanted to talk to you about today is how all of this has actually changed with our concept of Creative Cloud and our concept of sharing information, of sharing creative work, and getting this the creative workflows going. And basically, what we're doing at Adobe right now is we're mobilizing creativity. We're calling it stretching the canvas from the piece of paper to the desktop computer to the mobile device. The canvas is getting bigger, and this is what we're really focusing on. By mobilizing creativity, by making sure that you can be creative whenever you feel creative and wherever you feel creative. In order to do that at the best, we need to understand some things that we've discovered with this wealth of data that comes from Behance, our huge community of creative professionals around the world who post work in progress, who post their work as portfolios, who share information online about their work. And what we're seeing is that there's a whole bunch of creative fields that are linked to age. Okay, so we see a whole bunch of 18 to 20-year-olds who are posting more and more things that they're doing hand typography, lettering, some things that maybe my generation has lost in time. But we see the younger generations who are coming back to this manual work of typography. Another thing that we're seeing is that once you're 23, 28, you start being interested more in branding, like putting an image to a service or a company. And then as we grow older, 29 to 34, there's more art direction being published to Behance. So there is really a progress from, or let's not call it a progress, let's call it an evolution from specific creative fields on Behance, also linked to the age of the user. I think that's super interesting to see that happening. There's also new creative hubs. When I grew up as a designer, the creative hubs were Milano, London, Amsterdam, New York, Los Angeles, Tokyo. If you were not there, you were practically a loser, right? Because that's where everything was happening, right? And with Behance, we're actually seeing new creative hubs emerging around the world. There's a really high concentration of 18 to 20-year-olds in countries like Indonesia or Egypt. New creatives growing up there and posting their work on Behance. And there's also 23 to 20-year-olds in France. There's a concentration of this age range. And then in Germany, it's 29 to 34. Coming back to Egypt, there's a story about Ahmed that I wanted to tell you. And Ahmed is an illustrator from Egypt who posted this work on his Behance page from Egypt. It's really great Photoshop compositing. And thanks to the Behance network, he got discovered. He got discovered by an agency and was enabled to create this, okay? Something that was highly difficult, like only 5 years ago, without this huge network of creative professionals, where agencies and creative professionals can actually find the talent, the right talent that they need. There's also a move back to the future, I call it, because basically we're moving ahead in time, but there's new things happening. There's a new generation, and there's new creative trends that we discover on Behance. There's a lot of work being done with ink, with murals. People publish work that they do as murals, lettering works, even embroidery and chalk work and calligraphy. All of these things that I may have thought that maybe they've gone lost because nobody was interested in doing those anymore. But I see really a re-emergence of these creative fields and trends, let's say. And of course, all of these things then need some sort of a system to be brought back into the digital world where everything comes together and gets published and produced, let's say. And this is where Creative Cloud comes into play. And these are the three things that we're really focusing on. The social aspect of Creative Cloud, with things like Behance, the ability to participate in a community, the ability to post work, work in progress. The mobile aspect, we really want to enable creative professionals to create wherever they feel creative. And that can be on the tube, that can be on an airplane, that can be away from the desktop computer, okay? And therefore, we're really focusing on mobile applications that enable you to start your creative workflow in a way that makes sense, in a professional workflow, because these are not toys or little games that you can use to make an Instagram picture with, okay? These are really applications, like I will show you in a second, that enable you to push your work from your mobile devices to your desktop. And of course, the digital world with our apps and services. So in 2012, when we launched this idea of Creative Cloud was pretty barren. It was the apps, of course. It was an easy way to access all of the applications, such as Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere, After Effects, Audition, all of the apps in a single delivery. Now, over time, we really concentrated on addressing these 3 points I just mentioned and adding this ecosystem around the Creative Cloud. And that includes, of course, new features in the desktop applications that come in on continuously, mobile applications to enable your creative workflows outside of the office, the ability to move assets around, new marketplaces with Adobe Stock, which I'm going to be talking about in a second, and of course, community and learning. All of these things have started to build a layer that goes well beyond just software. And with that, I can also say that Adobe has gone way beyond just being a software company, a creative software company. We're now building services, we're building systems, we're building a whole ecosystem to make it easier to work as a creative professional. So, there's 3 things that we've done in this release that we've talked about at Adobe Max a month ago. And basically, the ability to work in connected workflows, and that means being able to work with mobile devices and send mobile information to another mobile application, so mobile to mobile, or mobile to desktop, or desktop to mobile. So all of these workflows need to be connected. We've also concentrated a lot of work on the Creative Cloud libraries, which are basically your shared assets that can be accessed from your mobile apps, that can be accessed from your desktop apps, that can be accessed by anyone you choose to share it with. Okay, so basically, creative libraries are a new creative place where you can keep your things organized and share them accordingly. And of course, Adobe Stock, which is a pretty recent acquisition of Fotolia, and basically that allowed us to give you as a service access to over 40 million stock images, graphics, vector graphics, and now also very soon video stock that can be downloaded from there. And we'll see in a second how that exactly works. Okay, so these three things are enabled by what we call creative sync. Okay, this is really the word that I want everybody to have the word sync in. Okay, this is a really important word for me. Creative sync. This is the technology the glue that holds all of these things together. That holds the Creative Cloud libraries together. That holds the creative networking, the Behance, everything together is creative sync. So just to go over it again, creative sync, of course, is not just being able to synchronize files. It's the ability to access your assets whenever and wherever you need them, from your mobile devices, from your desktop computer, and to share them with others. Access to thousands of fonts from Typekit. And many people still don't know that there's really thousands of fonts that you can access and download to your computer, using them as desktop fonts. And I'm going to be doing that in a second from a mobile application. Connected workflows from mobile to mobile, from mobile to desktop. Okay, that's also creative sync. Collaboration, the ability, you remember that image of the disk, me having to send a disk with a guy in a Motorino going from one office to the other with my disk? Okay, no longer, because now all of these tools that enable collaboration are at my hands, thanks to creative sync. And also the way that I can easily publish from my applications, from my mobile applications. I can easily publish work in progress. I can publish my portfolio online. And last but not least, the access to Adobe Stock, which is really 40 million plus images and graphic assets that I can use right away from within the Creative Cloud applications, such as Photoshop, InDesign, and even the mobile applications. All right, so let's have a quick look at how these things actually work. If we can move over to my iPad, let's have a quick look at these apps. And some of them are new, and some of them have been revamped. So basically, the Capture app takes all of the Capture apps. We had 3 Capture apps: Shape, Color, and Brushes. All of these are now inside of this single Capture app. Then there's Adobe Comp, which is an application that lets me create compositions that I can send to InDesign, to Photoshop, to Illustrator from my mobile device. And then there's Adobe Photoshop Fix and Adobe Photoshop Mix. Photoshop Fix, of course, is to fix images, and Photoshop Mix is to mix images together. And then we have Adobe Sketch, which is painting with pixels, and Adobe Draw, which is painting with vectors. Okay, so basically, it's Adobe Photoshop Sketch and Adobe Illustrator Draw, and these programs work with their desktop counterparts. And of course, there's Lightroom and a whole bunch of other apps. But let's start with the Capture apps. And basically, the colors. It's really easy for me now to create a new color scheme. And in order to do that, all I need to do is to use my camera here and maybe be inspired from the colors over here. I can take a picture. All right. I just took a picture of the photographer. And I can give this color theme a name, of course, and I can save that color theme, okay? And I can make it discoverable, being part of the color community, the cooler community, and share my theme with others. Let's say OK to this. Let's save this color scheme, and it's, of course, here. And this is now synced, thanks to Creative Sync, to the Creative Cloud and to all of my desktop apps, where I can now use those colors. I can, of course, always go into these colors and edit those colors and save those colors back into my Creative Cloud application. So I'm going to discard the changes and go back to my library. And, of course, I can also take shapes. Shapes is basically taking a picture of something and creating a vector version of it. Let's see if I can take a picture here. OK. All right. And OK, so let's say that this Kraken kind of thing really intrigues me. So I can take a picture of that. And then Adobe Capture will actually create a vector version of that I can use immediately in my other applications, my mobile applications, such as Illustrator, Draw, or send it to Illustrator on the desktop. Let's go back here and not save this, and go to the brushes. The same way here, I can take a picture and create a brush with whatever shape I have. So if I select this one, I can actually start painting with that brush and actually create things and save those brushes for Illustrator, for Photoshop, or for my other mobile applications. Let's move on. Adobe Comp. Adobe Comp is an application that lets me create compositions. And new, since Adobe Max, is the ability to actually create a grid system that allows you to very quickly place images and text and actually build a layout. So let's say I want an iPad landscape illustration. And basically, I can now go here and say Grid and Guides, Add. And I can say, OK, add me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. Okay? And then I can go in here and say as well, let's say that I want to, let's say like this. And I'm going to say Done. And then I'm going to say, maybe I want some horizontal guides as well. And then by taking these guides, I can very precisely actually take these guys and place them pixel perfect on my layout, and therefore create a grid system. So when I'm done with that, I probably get something like this. I've created a grid with 6 columns here. And basically, what this allows me to do now is to create a layout. Basically, with very simple gestures, I can now go draw on this. And with an X here, I say this is a background image that I want to have here. So basically, I can then use the grids that I've created and say I want to use an image from maybe Adobe Stock. And then I can go search Adobe Stock right away. So let's say I want an image from London, search, and I can browse through here and say, OK, I like the one with the fog here, and I want to save a preview of that. I can choose which Creative Cloud library I want to save that to. I'm going to say for placement. And this image is now part of my layout, okay, as a watermarked image that I've just chosen from Adobe Stock. And then once I am happy with that image, I can go license it. Or I can send this file to InDesign or Illustrator and license it from there. But it gets better, because I can also now say that I want to actually, let me go here, and actually block that image, lock this image in the background, and say that I want maybe some text here, okay, like a headline. So it's a box and a dot. And there, again, I can double tap on it and say, I want to create a title with London, all right? And then here, by pressing on type, I have access, thanks to Creative Sync, to our wealth of fonts from Typekit. So I'm not limited to the fonts that are available on my device anymore. I really have access to the whole Typekit library, and I can go there and say, maybe I want to use the Medtronic Slab Narrow Bold and apply that, okay, directly. And when I'm done with this file on my device, I can send it to InDesign or Illustrator or Photoshop to continue with it. So really, it enables me to do some stuff on my mobile device and then send that over to my desktop to finish it off. Or what's happening more and more is to actually, I do layouts there and use those directly, simply by saving images and exporting it from here. So let me close this and go back to the last thing I wanted to show you, and that's Adobe Photoshop Fix. And Adobe Photoshop Fix is a new part of the family, which allows you to fix images. And this also is an app that is really connected with Photoshop Mix, so you can move from one app to the other. It's a really great example of how mobile-to-mobile workflows work, but it's also an example of how mobile-to-desktop can work. So for example, if I take this image here, I can now have the tools that are necessary, for example, to actually, let's say here, let's use the healing brush tool, and I can really go in here and brush things away, okay, like this, very easily, like I would in Photoshop, simply by using my finger or a stylus, okay? So I can go correct images, fix images. Let's move back, and maybe what I want to do on this picture here is maybe lighten up the face a little bit, so I can paint light right into the face here. I can really make sure that I can really correct the picture. And this is all non-destructive. These are things that I can always come back from, that I can correct more, I can fix more, all right? And there's, just to finish, there's this one picture that, that really annoys me, and I'm going to find it here on my Creative Cloud library here. And basically, it is a picture, that everybody says, I don't know, it's this guy Leo, I think it's from Florence. And people say that this smile is, the most intriguing smile, whatever. To me, it's not a smile. I want to correct that. I want to fix that, okay? So I'm going to open that, and basically, this image will now sync from my Creative Cloud files, and I just want to fix this, And there we have new tools in Photoshop Fix, like the liquify tools, and I can say, okay, this is a face, so there's even a button for face. Poof. All right. Okay. Now I'm set. Okay. Recognize the face, and I can say, okay, this here I want to correct. This is not a smile, so smile more. Yes. Okay. Now we're good. And then maybe the jaw a little bit. Maybe the jaw the chin. Okay. Maybe I can like make the chin a little bit better. Okay. All right. Now I think I did a better job than Leo. And with that, I made the Mona Lisa smile. And with that, thank you, everyone. I hope you have fun with these applications because they truly work and they really enable your creative workflow. Thank you.